Welcome to Perfecting the Pitch. I'm your host, Alex Norman. If we haven't met before, I'm the co-founder of TechTO. I've exited 2 businesses, and I'm an operator with extensive experience in professional services. These days, I act as the head of Canada for AngelList and a partner at N49P. I'm also going to be joined by Jordy Koski, the general partner of Middle Cove Capital, an early-stage fund based in Toronto. Jordy focuses on helping his portfolio companies grow revenues and clarify their positioning. And prior to being an investor, Jordy spent 15 years in software industry at a variety of companies, including Collegis, which was SunGard, BillPoint, Extend Media, which is part of Cisco, TapFun, Reportin, and most recently Parity. In his spare time, he enjoys spending time outdoors with his family. And you'll see him when we start the Q&A. So today we're going to do something different than our past presentations. Usually we have one founder come up, walk through the deck extensively, and provide feedback. Today we're going to have 4 founders come do pitches and give them feedback immediately after they do 5 to 6 minutes on their pitch. But before we get started, if you haven't found it yet, there's a chat on the side of your screen. Go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know where you're joining from today. There are also these emojis. I love to call it the emoji can. It will be changed throughout this event. Use it to give the feedback with a bit more fun. And finally, if you're interested in learning more about our Insider program, please connect with Laura Backman after the show. And there will be an open Q&A at the end of the show, so stick around if you want to ask Jordy and I questions later. Well, let's get into it. Let's start right now. Sam from Upbeam, please come be our first contestant.
Everyone, can you hear me all right, Alex? Yes. Cool. I'm going to just share my screen quickly and I'll get started. I hope everyone can see my screen. Let me just check to make sure. Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to get started here. Let me go back to Upbeam is a new type of data company, one that doesn't feed the attention economy or help folks sell better. We are leveraging personal behavioral data to measure emotion and improve the human experience. We are ultimately an emotion AI company. We use technology and behavioral science to truly enrich the human experience, both individually and then collectively. Today, consumer technology, as amazing as it is, has been built to monetize attention, and we believe it is concretely linked to the declining quality of mental health in the general population. The decline in the general population's mental health was already on a steady downward trajectory before COVID. COVID has made this accelerate even further, and people are aware of this trend. As a result, there's just a much higher willingness among these people to understand and invest in the solutions that help them be more well. Fundamentally, people aren't going to stop or even really reduce using technology. So we need to build that technology that has the explicit goal of improving the human experience. We need to build technology so that it bridges this gap. In fact, the increased adoption of technology and how far we've gone beyond responsible use is one of the reasons our tech is possible, as everyone is constantly tracked via their devices already. So we're using the same behavioral science that's used in that attention economy, but to help people feel better. Behavior is the cause and the solution to declining mental health. What's novel in our application is that we use these passive behavioral indicators. We use behavior and social data that already exists to solve this problem. Our innovation is in leveraging the same behavioral data that's used to make you algorithmically addicted to your devices, but for the explicit benefit of your mental health. At an individual level, we take passive behavioral data streams from integrations like Spotify, your browser, e-calendar, all wearables and fitness trackers, spending habits via Plaid, and much more. And then we create these behavioral profiles that we correlate to measurements of feeling. We get these measurements of feeling from check-ins. These check-ins have a value proposition to the user and themselves. They help the user prime themselves for their day ahead. They help them get pumped up before a workout or provide a moment of reflection after a challenging meeting. They help you wind down at the end of the day so you can bring your whole self home to your family. But they also provide us a quantitative measure of specific feelings. So what you see on your screen here is a quantitative measure of emotion. Feelings are measured within multiple variables. So emotion is one example, but we also have motivation, perceived productivity, or flow. The upbeing solution, like CAPTCHAs, crowdsources the training of this behavior to feeling machine learning classification engine in the form of this better wellness app. Users train our classifier by completing these reps millions of times collectively. And by completing these check-ins and integrating these behaviors, we can create this really reliable machine learning engine. And this engine will allow us to ultimately measure how a user feels based on just the behaviors they exhibit. The white space we are taking advantage of in the wellness market is illustrated by this slide. On one side, you have apps like Noom and Bearable, and these are ICBT apps that require a huge amount of user input to record behaviors in order to provide the relational insights that you need to improve your well-being within that category. On the other hand, you have apps like Fitbit and Apple Health, which automate the input mechanism via wearables, but don't have the relational feeling data. So they can't provide the detailed insights that you truly care about. They're just really providing audit reports of what you did. There are other critical white spaces in the consumer wellness app space today, including the idea of wellness being multiplayer, social, and relational, and the idea of wellness being holistically experimental. If the angels have questions about this, if Alex, you have questions about this, happy to dig into more into this in more detail in the Q&A. As explained, the Upbeing Wellness app will help individuals continually invest and improve in their well-being. But our vision is really illustrated here. What we're going to allow the individual app will allow people to train a behavior to emotion classification system that will be the key building block for developers, companies, and society to build emotion into all software and systems. Today, speech and voice recognition, facial expression, eye tracking, natural language processing are used as inputs to recognize emotion, the emotion of users, and implied within the use cases that have access to those inputs. So things like medical emergencies, autonomous vehicles that have access to your eyes, law enforcement and surveillance that have access to your voice. These are they're limited by the inputs. The use cases are limited by the inputs. Our model, trained by users, will classify new ubiquitous input streams in the form of time series behavioral data. These input streams are available to the vast majority of software and systems, to all software and systems. And as a result, the Upbeing EDR platform will allow society to build emotion into all software and systems. It will allow for many, many more use cases that we can't even imagine today, and ultimately bridging that gap that I talked about at the beginning between humans and technology. I'm just truly honored to be founding this business alongside Sean. Sean's PhD thesis at U of T was in understanding user behavior, essentially asking whether there are a pattern in how someone is behaving that is characteristic of an underlying psychological state, and building software that adapts to that state. There are only a handful of people in the world that have this type of skill set, and most of them work for Fortune 500 companies like Google and Apple. So I really appreciate that Sean's driven to solve this problem and has this vision for the future and the future of emotional software. I'm a SaaS tech exec that knows how to operationalize and scale businesses, and I'm helping Sean create commercial applications. Surrounded ourselves with some awesome people like Adam Grant. I think I'm getting cut off.
Yeah, you're getting cut off. You hit your time.
Okay, perfect.
I have feedback, but I'll let Jordy start. Thank you for joining us, Jordy. And Sam, thank you for being our guinea pig in the first new Perfecting the
My
Pitch.
pleasure. My
So,
pleasure.
Jordy, you want to
Yeah,
provide feedback or questions?
yeah, awesome. Thanks, Sam. What I love the ambition of what you're doing, and certainly these are big, challenging areas. So I applaud the kind of scope of what you're trying to do. I'd say in terms of kind of questions and feedback, um, one thing that I think might be helpful is trying to illustrate in either kind of a case study or a use case of if you're successful, what does it look like for the everyday user? What's the change in how
Yeah.
So I think really trying to illustrate that, because it's a little bit the pitch is a little bit fuzzy around, okay, what's the actual implication going to be for me as somebody, as a user of the service. Um,
Great
so
feedback,
maybe
Sean.
I'll just start with that as a bit of a question of a bit of an illustration on that use case.
Yeah, so on the individual side, a user would plug into the well-being app and use it to improve their well-being day to day, run experiments on how behaviors can change their habits, complete check-ins to prime themselves for the day ahead. On the collective side, which I think is really what you're asking about, the platform can allow a whole new set of use cases in technology. So an example would be a more emotional social media app, right? One that actually understands how our feed is affecting us and builds towards that, prioritizes it based on emotion. Another example could be adaptive learning, right? One that understands how the user is feeling while they're using an online system and changes the learning content that's posed to them. So those are some examples, but I really believe that we're going to unlock a whole new set of use cases that we can't even imagine today.
Okay.
Cool. I'm gonna just jump in with feedback because it posed the questions right now. I think you have to start much stronger. You have to say, here's the problem we're solving. So you can say, mental health or emotional health, whatever you call it, is a bigger and bigger problem that many people suffer from. Show some stats and trends behind that. And then also somewhere that gets to show why now. So you can say, people, why we can use this data. You've got data science. People are using stuff like Whoop for physical fitness. But I think the way it right now comes across too much as a science project and not enough
Theoretical.
yeah, like, and it's not explicit. Going back to what I think Jordy had is what's the output. It's like, why do people even care about this problem?
Yeah.
Right.
No, I
So
love that feedback, Alex.
I think it had that's where I'd start with. I don't know, I think that did we just get more time because I can ask questions?
It looks like we got 2 minutes and 13 seconds left.
Sorry. Yes. Oh, Leah generously added more time. So I have a question. When you feature like Adam Grant there, right? Yeah. And I understand he's a big name, and I see people like put advisors there. But what is he actually doing? And if I were to call Adam Grant, would he say, "Yes, I know what Sam's doing and the team's doing, and here's how I've contributed"?
Yeah. So Adam is one of the earliest people we got on board, right? We reached out to him really as a researcher and a scholar, right? Asking like, hey, what's your view of this? Is this going to work? Like more at that level. And he was really interested in the project and kind of wanted to be an advisor. So we put him on our cap table because, to your point, he's effectively a celebrity and can help us really drive the growth of this product. But what he's doing today is really more on a introductory level. So he's made introductions to several research partners that have been critical in helping us prove the affect of the product and helping us invest in the R&D behind the platform. He's also given us feedback just like you guys on the pitch, and made introductions to a variety of different investors that he has within his network. So he's acting as a true advisor. We don't do ongoing meetings with him, but we do async communication. I probably talk to him by email at least once a week, maybe twice a week if you averaged it out over the period of time. So he would know us for sure if you called him up, Alex, but he prefers email, so send him an email instead.
Yeah, but again, so that's good because I usually see a bunch of advisors on a deck. Doesn't make sense. I'd even maybe do a call that he's actively involved in introducing the researchers. Jordy, any questions, feedback in our last 25 seconds here?
Yeah, I'd say, you got to move a little more quickly to, what are you looking for? What do you need help on? Are you asking for money? Are you asking for connections, intros? And a little more in the traction. So the traction can be more qualitative, but what insights have you kind of gotten to this point, and what are some of the early steps you can take to, kind of actualize, the product?
Yeah, great feedback, Jordy. And just to put a end on that, I'm going to post a little prototype demo in the chat there. If anyone wants to actually check out the prototype and the product and see some of that traction in real life, it's a 45-second demo in the chat here.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sam. Let's get on to our next pitch. Love to welcome Dan from Nabarino. Please take the stage.
Sorry, give me 1 second.
We'll give you get 1 second. There you go. Is the deck ready? You ready to go?
The deck is ready. Give me just 1 second. I will share my screen.
Okay. Hey, are we having technical difficulty?
No, I'm good now. Let's share the screen
Okay.
and begin. Hey Neighborinos, I'm Dan Flatt, the founder and chief neighbor at Neighborino. It's never been easier to make connections with people on the other side of the world. Ironically, it has actually become more difficult than ever to connect with the people who live right next to us. Over the last few years of the COVID pandemic, local communities that came together were more resilient. In the Toronto condo building where I live with my family, we experienced lockdown from our own unit, surrounded by neighbors experiencing the same fear and uncertainty in their own units. Years earlier, I'd started inviting neighbors in the building to a Facebook group that the majority of residents regularly use to communicate. During lockdown, the group became a lifeline for our building community as we discussed mask and elevator etiquette, communicated with building management, and even combined our online purchases to save money. The many social, security, and economic benefits of strong local communities are never more apparent than in times of collective hardship like war and natural disasters, when the people who are geographically closest to us are in the best position to help. So, what stops us from reaping all the benefits of connected local communities in times of peace and prosperity? The problem is that neighbors, especially in urban centers like Toronto, where 55% of the population lives in high density multi unit buildings, live in a cultural context where it feels really awkward to knock on a neighbor's door. Outside our building, the neighborhood around us was suffering as well. Small local businesses who used to mainly rely on local traffic were being forced to shut their doors. Even those who got online had trouble maintaining their connection with local customers. Inflation and rising fuel costs were making e-commerce shipping more expensive than ever. You may ask, what context or incentive could you give people in big urban centers known for being unfriendly to connect with each other? How can we support local businesses beyond posting hashtags on social media? Neighborino connects communities of neighbors and helps them discover local businesses and save when they buy as a group. We're starting with communities of neighbors in high-rise apartment buildings, where the close proximity of neighbors can actually provide a solution to problems for both the resident communities and the businesses in our unique group buying marketplace. The solution is needed now more than ever, as people spend more time working at and near home and ordering products and services delivered to their home at a time when global supply chain and fuel cost pressures are making deliveries even more expensive. Our unique local community social features and community group buying marketplace provide the context, the structure, and frankly, the self-interested incentives for neighbors to unlock the many social and economic benefits of local community. We are giving neighbors more convenience and cost savings through the economies of scale of bulk purchases and consolidated deliveries, and a method of communication with each other that has far less friction than knocking on each other's doors, leaving passive-aggressive notes, or even that Facebook group that provided the original inspiration. On the supply side of our marketplace, businesses across a broad range of product and service categories benefit from reduced marketing and delivery costs as neighbors buy in larger quantities and delivery can often be consolidated into a single shipment. This model has been proven in China, where companies like Pinduoduo rose to challenge even Alibaba by introducing community group buying, or CGB, as an important new category that benefited from China's hyper-connected WeChat social internet, high population density, and sophisticated delivery logistics. By building connected hyperlocal communities in apartment buildings, Neighborino will adapt the most important benefits of a model with proven success. Here's how it works. Group buying offers are simple to create on Neighborino through our dedicated vendor interface, where they can list their products and easily set the regular price and the minimum group order size to unlock a discount. This self-serve vendor portal will allow Neighborino to scale quickly and allow our team to focus on customer service and ensuring the highest quality offers. We currently take a 15% commission on each successful group purchase, but as we show vendors the value of our platform, we'll introduce monthly subscription plans to let them offer deals to more communities with us taking a much smaller commission. After validating our model using an MVP built on Shopify, our app is almost ready to launch. Our main priority is to create a positive user and community experience for the Neighborinos in our buildings that makes it feel safe, useful, and fun to connect with their neighbors. Shopping and saving money together is a great way to start a conversation, and we have many more ideas for how to keep that conversation going. We validated the neighbors in our pilot building were willing to join buying groups when they save money and convenience. We'll replicate and scale that model in in other buildings starting in Toronto before expanding to cities across Canada and the rest of the world. We expect our greatest source of growth to be our growing list of local community leaders who see the value of community and who will motivate with extra perks and incentives to invite their neighbors and encourage them to join group purchases. We've started building that conversation with hundreds of names on our early access sign-up list, a growing number of community leaders who are ready to connect with their neighbors, and a broad range of deals from vendors that all benefit from the unique delivery economics that Neighborino's group buying structure brings. We've successfully run deals in our pilot community, starting with weekly Costco runs and eventually partnering with local Toronto businesses to bring deals on unique products and services. As a solo founder, my priority was not on weekly sales, but to learn from the community and build it further with events like an in-building trick-or-treat and Secret Santa gift exchange, a crowdsourced library in the lobby, and coordinated email writing campaigns when we needed faster action from building management. All of those fun and practical aspects of community are being built into the Neighborino community experience. As we get ready to grow, I'm building a community and the team that will allow us to connect local communities around the world, because I can't and nor do I want to build a community-based business on my own. We're raising $500,000 as a pre-seed that will allow us to hire the key team members we need to successfully launch Neighborino across Toronto, including a city manager and a VP of engineering. We also intend to crowdfund as much of our capital needs as possible, since our company will grow faster the more ownership our most committed members have towards our mission and vision. And we'd love to welcome everyone watching today to the neighborhood to join us on our mission to unlock the many benefits of local community. You can sign up for early access right now at neighborino.com. And if you have a product or service that would be better sold to a community of neighbors, you can sign up to create an offer. Thank you very much.
Cool. Jordy?
Great. Yeah. Great pitch. I loved how you told a little bit of the story of, the origin and your own kind of pain. I guess I'll jump in with maybe a question. So on the supply side, thinking of the merchants, what are the kinds of merchants that are most excited about what you're doing, or who do you think some of the early partners may be?
Yeah, actually, it's actually been a lot easier to build the supply side at this early stage than the demand side. And on the supply side, a couple of categories. Direct-to-consumer CPGs have really seen a lot of value, as we're providing a channel that sits somewhere between direct-to-consumer selling to one individual customer at a time and having to pay all the marketing and shipping expenses associated with that, and wholesale, where you're selling in larger quantities, but you lose a lot of the connection. You're also giving up a lot of the margin. So group buying gives a really good middle road that combines the benefits of both. So direct to consumer, a lot of food-based CPGs. And then even on the services side, we've run some home and auto deals, like a mobile car detailing. We're even talking about bringing a barber to buildings, where the economies of scale of having all of your customers clustered in one area to reduce the travel time in between jobs allows them to squeeze more jobs into a day, and increase their utilization. So those are the categories we've explored so far. But I think that as we prove the model, as we grow our communities, we'll have a lot more buying power to do even more interesting things, like getting better deals from telecom on internet services in a building, or even things like insurance, car sharing, things like that.
Quick question. Do you have a CTO identified?
So right now I have a really great advisory board. So I've got two advisors who between them are taking on the role of CTO. The way we were able to build the app so far is through an academic partnership with Centennial College, where we had a team of student developers and their faculty advisors. And with my advisors, they've been able to steer the technical team in the right direction. I am looking for a CTO right now, and I'm planning to identify that candidate before we raise money, and to raise against the salary or equity
Yeah.
expectations that they have.
One other follow-up question, sort of based on Jordy's, or I don't know if it's a question or comment. If you go back to like the Groupons of the world or Class Passes, a lot, again, it was connecting small business to consumers. A lot of the times the interests were misaligned because they looked at, those companies looked at customer acquisition and consumers wanted a discount. So I guess fundamentally, how does your model scale up without breaking, and what's different?
So I would say that where Groupon went astray, and that's really the model, the company that comes to mind for most people in the West. They on the one side with the businesses, they really took a very, very big percentage that very often left the businesses with very little profit afterwards. And also on the user side, there wasn't any real community that was built between the users that were joining the deals. And we're starting with community at the local level as the foundation for everything. And I think that as we build that foundation of community, group buying is really only the beginning of the potential features that we could bring to our neighboring communities. On the business side, the Chinese company Pinduoduo that we're modeling ourselves after, they actually take a very, very small percentage of every deal, but they're dealing in a lot more volume. We're hoping to start with a larger percentage taken, but then move to a subscription model where we can take a much smaller commission, but have recurring revenues from monthly subscriptions.
We're out of time. I'd love if you go answer questions some people put in the chat. Like Adam had a great question, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is Tyler Bryden, presenting Speak AI.
Beautiful.
Hey, Tyler.
How's it going? Nice to see you, sir.
You good. It's good to see you. You have your deck ready?
I think so. I'm seeing a little black on my side. Oh, there we go.
Oh, no, I see it. Perfect. Take me off the screen, please.
Bye, Alex. Hey, nice to see everyone. I'm still buzzing a little bit from this Tech Stack event last night, so apologize. I'm not going to try to talk too fast here. Tyler Bryden, ex-agency owner, 10 years experience, content creation, analytics, research, joined together with a CTO, awesome co-founder who worked a lot in IoT. And both of us handled a bunch of language data. And the primary question was like, this is just an overwhelming amount of information. How can we extract actionable insights from it? And then more so, how can we enable teams that are non-technical to be able to do that? So that's what we started out on the journey with Speak AI. And what's been really nice is we've seen validation. We've seen growth from that from some awesome customers, IEEE, Salesforce, Ipsos, and then some more familiar local organizations that you might recognize. I think one's getting a name change right now, though. So just to hone in a little bit on that problem is like, if you were trying to take language data, doesn't matter what it is, interviews, transcripts, this webinar that we're doing right now, generally that process quite technical. You're either working with a research firm, you're working with a development agency, you're hiring full-time developers, you're leveraging data scientists. That recruiting process is a lot, the costs are a lot, and it just adds up and it adds complexity. And a lot of these companies are struggling to handle the cost or the capacity to move forward with this. And then the piece that we're seeing here is when you fail to get these, this wonderful database, this repository of language information that we have, so much unstructured information. When you fail to harness the insights that are sitting in there, you make poor decisions. And most likely you actually lose market share. And as companies are trying to invest in AI, they're trying to figure out how to do this in a scalable way that doesn't mean them having to maybe take on an expertise that is fully not part of their stack or their main operations. And so they're looking for providers. And that's where we've jumped in. We built a software platform, combined speech to text, NLP into a really nice intuitive platform. And we really wrap around these three core pillars: capture, analyze, and share. These work in harmony together. So one without the other does not work. If you can't capture things, you can't analyze things. If you can't if you can't analyze something and then share those insights, it all falls apart. And then the actions that are necessary do not get taken up. So we launched this product 2020. Product is completely live. We've got about 4,300 people on the platform. About 8K USD software MRR continues to grow month over month with usage of the platform, and had a really nice trajectory last year as we sort of hit this nice foundational stage of the platform being there, as well as inbound channels, referrals starting to grow. And we're seeing that trajectory continue this year. I think I've got a nice little picture of that. I still owe April. It's not in there, but that trajectory continued and on this upward climb as some of these things compound. A bunch of, we're search engine marketers. We know what we're doing in this regards, and we're excited to see this scale, and then sort of just optimizing this free trial to paid conversion rate as we go through. From this perspective, like you might ask still, who are our customers? We have a very diverse group that flows in because of some of the general purpose applications of our kind of technology. But where we're seeing the most value creation is with, say, market research firms who are trying to find competitive intelligence and insights for the clients that they're working with, as well as marketing agencies that are doing the same thing with their clients. And what's really interesting is they come in, they start to use our platform, they white label it, and then we then acquire entire new customer bases. So for example, we've worked with companies like Nike. We've worked with both political parties through these platforms, all because we're building a platform that then allows these research firms and marketing agencies to succeed, scrape data, analyze that data, and then share sites in a really beautiful way that's interactive and multimedia, which a lot of companies are struggling to do. So excited to see those companies continuing to grow. From a market size perspective, what we look at is primarily in North America here right now. We see this scale of 1 to 200 employees as the common pattern we owe. And obviously that's a very big size. We've built sort of self-serve up to enterprise plans, implementations for these companies. Generally, the nice sort of middle piece that we see here is like 10 to 50 employees. And that means that they've got resources, they've got a business, but they might not have the technical expertise or the capacity to hire these development firms, these research agencies, or they just think they have smart enough people and they can enable them with a software platform like ours. So happy to support those people and continue to grow. And we're at this nice intersection of a market of sort of natural language processing, speech recognition, and then market research, all which are growing year over year, which is fantastic. From a business model, it is SaaS. It's live. You can go sign up, do a free trial, start uploading stuff. We mix this sort of cost structure around the amount of users you have, the premium features that you get access to, and then the volume of media that is actually taking place too. And so continuing to see that scale and range from plans that are $1,200 a year. And then we've seen plans that are $50,000 a year, which is awesome. From this competitive analysis perspective, sort of two pieces. There's these like consumer enabled transcription applications or like note-taking applications. And then there's the more like the cognitive services of Amazon and all these things. And where we sit is in the middle, where the consumer's tech is not powerful enough for these companies, but then the APIs and the cognitive services is too much. And they're looking for a platform that's available out of the gate today that they can use, go to market quick and start deriving language insights right away. So, from this go-to-market strategy, we've already seen success in this idea of integrating with popular platforms, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, things like that. And then what's been fantastic is just continued growth in our inbound channels. Now we're ramping up more the outbound channels, as well as working with affiliate programs and partners to scale revenue through that, like these agencies and our research firm, and then making our assets and our libraries more shareable. So when you interact with that media, you know it speak, and then you continue to grow adoption. Touched on the team a bit. These are two other very crucial parts of it, both marketing and finance. From the opportunity part, I know I'm running out of time here, raising about 1.5 million USD with some of that already verbal committed. Right now, we own the company fully outright, have bootstrapped this with non-dilutive capital to date. Very happy about a clean cap table continuing to grow. And we know it's a volatile market right now, but we got lots of good stuff on the go. Fund, build or sell. I see you here. I'm done. Milestones. Let's hit 1 million ARR. We're releasing in multi-language, some proprietary insights.
You're sneaking those last words in.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. I'll stop.
Okay. Jordy.
Yeah, great presentation, great flurry at the end. So just a couple points of feedback and then maybe a question. So for feedback, just a few things that jumped out. I think I'd encourage you to give a little more detail on the specific product kind of use case, because what I heard was transcription, sentiment analysis, and also research. So is the wedge into the market like a product kind of in that area? Like, so specifically, what's the use case that Salesforce or Amazon, some of these big names that you have, like how exactly are they using it? So just encourage you to give a little more detail there. I'd say for the sign up graph, I'd consider doing more of a usage graph. So trying to show, just because signups are signups. They're, they don't indicate kind of engagement. And then I was a little confused at the target size of, 10 to 50 employees, but I see some wonderful enterprise customers on the list. So that was a point of kind of confusion for me. But yeah, I thought it was a great pitch, good energy. So
thank you very much. Yeah, just quickly, I think the piece that we're looking at is like you're plugging into so many different data sources, interviews, things like that. But then also things are like scraping like App Store reviews, Reddit threads. So we're trying to do like no code plugins to that so you can pull it all in and analyze it. And that's like the big use case we see is a bunch of different data sources pull it into a repository and then start to build automatic reports. And we do have some big companies, but what we're finding is like not siloed teams, but smaller teams within those companies that are really adopting the platform. It's not Ipsos, the entire organization buying a platform. It's like a group of researchers on a specific project then engaging with it.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
And you have that user graph.
Yep.
But what I'd love to see is either like a retention graph, a usage graph, or an MRR. So what can you tell us on the customer level and activation or how they interact with you?
Yeah, so usage continue. I should have showed the usage graph. It's going up. Last month was our highest to date in hours of media analyzed, which is fantastic. It was about 700 hours. But people are importing text analysis too. And then from nice retention, what the switch that we have configured here now is that we've just actually released it this week. It's like a personalized plan builder. And instead of building these pre-configured packages, which I showed in that screenshot, it allows someone to tailor their account to their needs. And what's been nice about that is that's increased our free trial to conversion rate, increased retention, and actually driven a lot more annual plans. So we're really happy with that. And it's nice because at the end they're saying thank you for configuring the plan instead of it feeling like maybe not as much value creation.
So, I'll go to the competition slide and I'd like to hear what you think about this, Jordy. Like it's nice, but what's not clear to me is your positioning in a market, and it might be a more cohesive story. If it's researchers of 10 to 15, like I have a question, but I'm not sure what it is. Jordy, did you pick up on that too? Like, because it is a crowd, it feels like a crowded market, and I can't understand your unique positioning.
I think part of the challenge is, in this wave of these commoditized kind of NLP engines like GPT-3 and others, the processing is kind of a commodity. So are there additional feature sets around, research, like you give some of the questions, you give like, what's the scaffolding software around the engine that is going to help you differentiate? Because there's so much noise, in the space, and there's so many free offerings coming to market that I think you got to distinguish yourself in the mind of the audience in the pitch.
Yeah, and I think luckily we get to talk to our customers a lot, and they, the part is those three pillars that I touched on: the capture, the analyze, and share. And so, especially when we look at the top end of those engines, like for you to pull out the sort of the full workflow of what we're doing right now, you'd have to build a lot of stuff. And that interaction, even with like audio and video data, say search, look for a specific moment, or insight, jump to that moment, that's not built in any of these engines. So you're then dealing with JSON data, you're dealing with Python, you're dealing with R, and all of a sudden there's an entire team that cannot interact with that information unless that developer builds an entire sort of UI platform, which is a lot harder than what we even originally thought it was going to be honest. So that's where we're seeing. And then again, on those transcription or more like consumer ones, it's just like I know Alex knows Otter, everyone knows Otter, great, awesome company, right? But we have so many people churn from Otter to our company because transcriptions aren't enough. They're actually trying to do insights and visualizations of it. But more than that, they're actually trying to plug into other data sources. So text, you can't do text in Otter. So now there's a whole break in the flow of what they're trying to analyze and then the results that they can produce.
So I'm going to quick feedback here. I thought the presentation was good, but I would completely scrap it and do different opinion, like different approach, at least the beginning. I think the data, like growth and the key names, I'd actually say, we built this product for this specific use case and show why, how you gain people from competitors, right? Like make it very clear. You have a user customer and in size, they go, maybe this is not your final market. Maybe it's, your current SAM is, or SOM is really small, but you say we're going to own this use case, and here's why we're going to own it, and here's examples of all the shit we've done to make it. You know, it's just not another translation service or transcription service.
Yeah, that's the pitch.
Beautiful. Well, I know we're out of time. I appreciate this.
Yeah.
I could listen all day, but thank you very much for this opportunity.
Yeah, Tyler, thanks so much. Love the energy. Hope you won money yesterday in poker. Our last pitch for today is Shada. She's coming to present Flogen. Hey, Shada.
Hi everyone.
Hey, were you playing poker last night?
Sorry?
Were you playing poker with Tyler last night, or was it just him?
No.
Okay, well.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
You ready? Well.
Yeah. So, do you see it in full screen mode? So, can you see my screen now? I don't know if you're seeing
we
it.
can see it. Let's.
Okay, great. Great. So, hi everyone. I'm Shada. I'm co-founder of Flogen. Social audio and podcasting are becoming mainstream. There are around 300 million podcast listeners every month, and in 2023, it is forecasted that around 300 million Twitter Spaces users will be there. So we are seeing now that there is a new type of creators emerging, which are audio creators. So these creators have a problem with their marketing funnel. What I mean is that they are creating content on social media like Twitter, or they're doing podcasting, but there is no platform to help them to actually monetize their craft. So below you can see that there are platforms like Patreon or Substack that are helping like video creators or writers to actually monetize their thing, but there is no such platform for audio creators. So who are these audio creators that I'm talking about? These are people who are sharing their knowledge in content, and they are creating content in non-entertainment topics. So they are not after creating content for the sake of content, like on TikTok or Instagram. They want to deliver service with their content. They want to have consultancy businesses or coaching businesses. And also they charge a big amount of money for their service. And they are type of people who want to play around with different monetization models like memberships or courses. And how much are they? So based on the data that Stripe provided, there are now 20 million knowledge creators who are making money out of their content. So what problem do these creators have? It is now very hard to set up a business. They have to like create a website, create 100 hours of video content, import them into the platform that they're using, set up a payment system, and so on. And so to sum up, it's really hard to set up a business. It's really time consuming to create content. As I said, it's really hard to create like videos, and there is no platform that helps them to create content built in the platform. And also it's hard to create multiple services at time, and also play around with different revenue models like memberships, one-time purchases, and like extra perks or something. So what is our solution? We help these kind of creators to create a subscription tool to an exclusive group, and also to this group they can create bite-sized audio content that just like sending a voice message to their friend. So we help them to create the business really easily. The setup is really easy. And also we have like a built-in feature for creating content, which is like these audio bites that I talked about. And also we help them to create multiple offerings at the same time in a minute, like audio courses, audio newsletters, or also just importing their content into our platform and put it in behind the paywall. So what our competitors don't get, our competitors do not have a function for creating content inside the platform. So creators always have to put up with making a lot of videos, and half of their time goes with creating, editing, and publishing. And also they are not designed for audio consumption. They do not have, our competitors do not have an app which is designed for a good listening experience, but we have that now. So what have we done so far? We released our iOS and Android version in August 2021. And our recent feature was the creator dashboard on the web, and we got traction with zero marketing budget. And we managed to get 2,000 users, 150 creators. The status is updated now, and also $2,000 in revenue. So what we learned so far, we learned that we can work on a remote culture with our team, and we set up the communication system. We know who our early adopters are and what go-to-market strategies work, and also we know what product roadmap we're going to embark on for the next 6 months. So what is our go-to-market strategy? We learned recently that we have to go community by community, create them a tool, and onboard the creators as easy as possible to Flowgene. So what we done this week was to go after Twitter Spaces host to help them capture all their spaces that they have, to import them on Flowgene and put them behind the paywall. So to help them to monetize their content really easily. So why we did that, we wanted to help the creators to actually make use of the content that they already have elsewhere on social media, to put it on our platform and to have their audience on the platform, so that we can nurture them time by time to deliver other services in audio as well on our platform. We actually witnessed great market validation this week. In one day, we could manage to get 50 content creators, Twitter Spaces hosts, to import their content off Twitter to our platform and create a playlist. And we're witnessing that they're referring Flowgene to other people on Twitter, to their friends. And now this week we had like 100 hours of content uploaded on Flowgene. So who are we? We are four co-founders. We have always, in our career, we have always worked in startups, and we have worked together as well. And also one of our co-founders, Farzin, he had the experience of running a startup, which has over 1 million users. And also we managed to hire our first key employer, who has been CTO in other startups. So what is our revenue model? We charge creators who are using Flowgene as a perk for their paying members of the platform elsewhere, like their Patreon or somewhere else. We charge them like a monthly subscription fee. And also for creators who are currently making money on Flowgene, we get 10% cut from their revenue. And also, what are our business KPIs? We have beside the monthly recurring revenue, which is obviously our North Star, actually, we have another metric, which is the average revenue of a creator. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shada. That was interesting. I actually was impressed. And just one last question. I'll give you this. Is there an ask? Are you raising money right now?
Yes, we're raising pre-seed, $300K.
Okay, I'll let you, Jordy, go to it.
Yeah. Okay. So great presentation. I think overall, try to make it maybe a little tighter. I like what you're doing. I see the need. So is a fair summary like a Patreon for audio content?
I actually say Substack for audio content, because Patreon, what I say is that creators mostly use it for collecting donations. People are like supporting their creators. They're not actually getting service from the creators on Patreon.
Okay.
So I go with Substack.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, go on.
So I'd say one thing that I'd love to see a little more of is just talking about a few of the creators, and why do they love the platform. So I think you really that's really the heart of the pitch. You've got your first 100 true fans. Why are these creators using you, and what's different for them? That's the heart of the pitch. You really got to get that across. And I think if you do so, then I think you'll get people really excited about what you're doing.
Great. I would say that because I've talked to a lot of them, and they say that the ease of creating content and setting up, an audio service is the key for them.
Are you going after the long tail or the big audio producers?
No, actually, we're going for the long tail, and people who are now using the platform are social media like micro influencers who have between like 1,000 or to 10,000 followers, and they have like a niche audience on the social media, and they're actually delivering, multiple services to them. But it's actually the problem is that delivering service is really hard for them. It's really hard to set up. Yeah.
Yes. So I think that has to come out more in the deck, because
Mhm.
like especially when you go to Substack's purpose was to help known writers monetize better. So a journalist leave New York Times and let her make $400,000 a year instead of 100,000 to get a piece of that. So if that's it, sounds like you're at the other side of the tail. So it's like, I guess, what does success look like for your customers, and how does that help you? And how does that help you be successful?
Mhm.
You know?
Was that a question or?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Then. Yeah. Sorry. I followed. I went from comment to question. Was very a bit. Maybe I didn't realize that. And so if you try that, and then maybe Jordy can be a bit more direct with his questions than I am.
Yeah, I mean, I think you want to get across. Is there a change in revenue, or they save time? Like, what are those key things that changes for them?
Okay. So, but I still didn't catch the question. I just
So
heard
so
your
so
comment.
those people with 2 to 10,000, is it because it sounds like their big win with your software is it just easier to use and control the community? Is that right? Are they trying to monetize? What's the key feature they're looking from you for?
Oh, okay, that's good. That's a good
What's the
question.
problem you're solving?
Okay, the problem that we're solving is to, have all their offers in one place in a very easy setup. So these creators have multiple things. They have newsletter, they have like course, they have community. Like for example, they have like a paid community on Circle, and it's killing them to manage all these things together. So yeah, what is really promising for them is to have them all in one place and in a really, like easy to use content creation format.
Jordy, any follow-up thoughts or questions on that?
Yeah, I guess one question I had was I was a little confused on the pricing because you have these 100 creators, but you're only making about 2,000 a month. It sounds
Yes.
like so. How can you charge more? I guess is the question.
Yes, that's a good question. Currently, people that are using Plugin, the creators that we onboarded, especially for the Twitter thing, well, they are using it for free now. And the 2000K was, for the last previous months where people were running like they were actually testing the platform with different use cases. So some of them are creating like an audio course. Some of them are creating like an audio coaching group for specialty. So we are actually testing which creator actually wants to charge more so that we can like improve our revenue and increase our revenue. We're still figuring that out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Got
much,
it.
Shada. We'll let you go, and before Jordy goes, Jordy, you're an active angel investor. You have a fund. If people want to reach out to you, A, what do you like investing in? And B, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So I'll circulate my email or find me on LinkedIn. Give me a call if you want. It's fine. I'll circulate that. So yeah, I mean, I think for me, what I look for for this stage company is some level of true differentiation. So either through technical or distribution, ideally both together.
Yeah.
But basically, what is that? What's the durability and the differentiation? So that's one thing. The other thing is a deep understanding of kind of the problem space. So I really have to be convinced that the team really understands who they're solving for and are motivated to solve that in a very kind of long term way. I guess those are two of the big things that I really look for.
Cool. So appreciate your time. Appreciate the feedback. Love having someone who has can show a different angle, or maybe the same angle as me with the questions. We'll get just drop your contact details in the chat, and we'll include it when the follow-up email goes out.
Okay, awesome.
For the presenters today, for the pitchers, thank you so much. It takes guts to go in front of the community and do pitching it live, questions and feedback. If you like this, let us know and we'll do more of these. And if you want to know, see when we see more of these when we do them, subscribe to us at TechTO on LinkedIn. And if you want to be an insider and get more exclusive perks, exclusive programming, and heightened access to our community, reach out to Laura Backman and she will answer all your questions. And at this point, I'm out of here. Enjoy your Friday, enjoy the weekend, and keep on hustling.